Apta Fortress stands stoically, an outpost in the southwest region of Mephius, encircled by mountains and the sea. The day dims as people scurry through the fortress walls. Velina Owal, the crown princess of Garbira, lingers in thought. She has traveled from Garbira to marry the Prince of Mephius, though she still adjusts to the land's customs. Reflecting on the recent battles and peace attempts with the Principality of End, she tries to reconcile the bloodshed with the uneasy truce. Teresa, Velina's lady-in-waiting, serves tea while gently engaging Velina in conversation. They discuss the prince's involvement in the war and the expectations of their political marriage. Teresa's witty comment, "Men are not so different from women," earns a soft chuckle from Velina, revealing an important truth: those of rank must often act according to the roles society delineates for them. Yet, Velina's mind drifts back. Why did the prince risk peace by engaging in confrontation with Taulia? She senses something amiss and recalls her encounter with men who seem trustful versus her guarded feelings towards most others from the prince's camp. Shifting focus, the narrative transitions to Ubri Bylan arriving at Apta just as night falls. Ubri, part of the Mephian military, is waylaid by interaction with women at the post station, yet he arrives in time for a gathering in the hall. Inside, a festive atmosphere pervades, with soldiers celebrating recent victories over Taulia. Ubri encounters Bane, a lower-ranking officer, and a newcomer to Apta, and engages in a conversation with him. They exchange stories about the soldiers and the battles. As the night progresses, the conversation steers towards the prince, and the soldiers share tales tinged with skepticism about their general. Revelry fills the air as the soldiers prepare for an evening of songs and dance. Shikyu and Goin, close acquaintances of Ubri, join the boisterous atmosphere, even though they sense Orba, the prince's trusted retainer, seems unlike himself amidst the jubilation. Orba, a former gladiator who obtained freedom by conspiring with the prince, quietly keeps to himself despite the ongoing cheer. He is troubled, wrestling internally with his own complicated past and future actions. A sudden aggressive remark from Shikyu towards Orba interrupts him momentarily, sparking tension among them. However, Sheik's jesting demeanor returns swiftly, as does the jovial energy. The scene shifts when a dancer whirls closer to Ubri, spilling wine, a minor mishap causing laughter and cheer from the crowd, yet even amid the gaiety, Orba remains aloof, seemingly lost in thought. His mind persists on the question echoing, what next steps must be taken? Amidst this mirthful gathering, Orba's attention is drawn to the princess, appearing unexpectedly amidst them. Velina confronts Orba, her presence evoking sentiment and an unspoken challenge penetrating his defenses. The burden of roles established and duties performed hang heavy between them, whispers of duty clash with desires for truth both spoken and unsaid. As night deepens, the respite fades. On the edge of sleep, Orba is haunted by echoes of his past, a reminder of unfulfilled vengeance, stoked by the memory of loved ones lost to political schemes. His tempestuous thoughts accompany him into restless sleep, troubled anew by a brother's image chasing away solace. At daybreak, whispers traverse the corridors of candidates, potential successors to End, and memories punctuate Orba's night thoughts with urgency. Strategizing must resume, and introspection waits for no sunrise as alliances tremble. In Solan, the Mephian capital, Fedem Allin stirs from sleep. Reflecting on events yet to unfold, he mindfully calculates his role, fundamental to the shifting sands of politics and allegiances. A world awaits beyond these fortress walls, its secrets yet untold, an unsympathetic world where shadows stretch with intent over every decision. In a tense atmosphere, Crown Prince Gil Mephius decides to leave Solan, aware of the growing threat from the surrounding insurgent forces. He entrusts the city to a powerful army led by Pashia and sends Kane, a trusted aide, to Apta with reinforcements to help the forces already stationed there under the command of Simon, Inelli's elder brother. This move signifies both a defensive strategy and an opportunity for negotiation with Mephius' adversaries. Within Solan, Gil faces political strife from the vassal lords who are eager for power and suspicious of the prince's intentions. Even the council, aiming to assert control, sees their chance to manipulate the young prince. Amid this, the deceptively sharp Inelli, with her own schemes, playfully taunts Gil about his so-called weakness. She jests, "If you say that I can't because it's dangerous, I wonder what the people of Garbira will think." Her feigned naivete conceals ambitions, as she seeks influence over the throne. As Gil strategizes his next move, the political intrigue only deepens. Ravan Dole comments on Gil's cautious leadership, emphasizing how even after war becomes inevitable, the prince won't lose. Reaping benefits is most important. As the conversations unfold, Esmina Bazgan, a royal of nearby Tauran, plans her visit to Apta, symbolizing a hopeful diplomatic gesture to ease tensions between states. The political chessboard, clouded with suspicion, casts long shadows across Mephius. Both Gil and his court tread lightly, their loyalties constantly tested. The unease among them is palpable, as potential threats hover ominously. Gil remains steadfast yet covertly anxious, even as commanders like Orba and Goin prepare to fortify Apta. Orba, famous for his valor, approaches his mission with a stoic resolve. His reputation precedes him, inspiring confidence among his men. From issuing precise orders to personally witnessing strategic points, Orba showcases his unyielding commitment. Despite his warrior facade, he discloses moments of uncertainty, confiding in Goin about undertaking a seemingly impossible task. In Apta, a different kind of tension brews. The women, both noble and common, adjust to the ongoing political machinations. Among them is Velina, whose diplomatic ties bind Mephius to Garbira. Her striking independence and will radiate as she mingles, demonstrating exceptional poise amidst persistent rumors about her alliance with Gil. As strategists convene to defend against imminent threats, there are whispers of betrayal that threaten to unravel Gil's efforts. Zart, a past conspirator, looms as a continuous threat with insidious plans. Yet, amid the uncertainty, characters like Inelli and Esmina bring their own motivations into play, creating a dynamic interplay of deceit, ambition, and tenuous alliances. The chapter closes on developments that hint at deeper schemes and brewing conflicts, setting a stage where allegiances could shift at any moment. The once stable grounds of Mephius appear at the verge of seismic changes, driven by ambitions and the complexities of human hearts. As the shadows deepen, the characters brace themselves for battles, both within and beyond the heart. Amidst the regal ambience of the meeting room, Velina stands, visibly absorbing the dense atmosphere. She narrows her eyes in thought as Huran, with her dragon coiled beside her, utters words laced with subtle tension. Despite the familiarity between them, the statement lacks the decorum expected in the presence of nobility, hinting at an unvoiced tension simmering beneath their interactions. Interrupting the moment is the unexpected arrival of Inelli Mephius. Her entry brings a shift in the room's dynamics, as her casually authoritative demeanor demands attention. The air is tense, yet charged with an undercurrent of rivalry and mutual respect. Velina, despite her surprise, maintains her composure, aware of the stakes at play in their delicate political dance. Inelli proposes a sword dance, a spectacle intended to entertain and impress the guests from Garbira. Velina is quick to realize the calculated nature of this suggestion, aware that rejecting such a proposal could subtly undermine her standing. However, Inelli masks her intent with the sheen of hospitality, smoothly indicating that the dancer's grace could honor their guests. Shakyu, taking his cue, is ordered to select a number of skilled swordsmen. Inelli's suggestion is a well-crafted ploy, meant to subtly elevate her position while ostensibly honoring their visitors. The maneuver is a testament to the intricate web of political maneuvering prevalent among the nobles. As Velina ponders the implications of Inelli's plan, memories of interactions with Gil Mephius surface. Gil, whose presence had been both imposing and enigmatic, had stirred within her a complex stew of emotions, an amalgamation of challenge, intrigue, and perhaps something more. She recalls the intensity of those moments, aware of the layers of meaning cloaked within their exchanges. Meanwhile, back in the heart of Talia, troubling news stirs Ubri Byland's mind. He understands the shifting tides of alliances and power. The Garbran princess's visit sparks debates about possible military reinforcements. The delicate balance of power stands poised for a shift, and he, along with his subordinates, feels the tension in the air. With talk of alliances swirling, Emina finds herself embraced by the whispers and glances of curious onlookers. The Mephian court is a hive of subtle warfare, each compliment hiding a potential barb, each smile a mask for darker intentions. Emina, holding her ground with grace, navigates this treacherous terrain, her words resonating with wisdom and poise. Velina, observing the interactions, reflects on her own experiences. Though unfamiliar with aspects of the culture she now finds herself entrenched within, Velina remains undaunted. She considers the customs and nuances of the Mephian court, aware that each gesture carries its own weight, and each word holds its own gravity. As conversations unfold, shared stories and laughter create a fleeting sense of camaraderie between Velina and Emina. Their interaction slowly reveals a shared humanity, transcending the gilded cages of their respective royalties. Velina finds comfort in this newfound friendship, her earlier apprehensions easing. However, the shadows within the court linger. Reflecting on past slights, Inelli's veneer of congeniality shows cracks, revealing her deeper motivations. She admits to testing Velina at the earlier feast, a revelation that barely masks the resentment that simmers beneath her polished exterior. Moving to end, tension looms between the brothers, Eric and Jerome. The water shrine, bathed in the grandiosity of power and wealth, becomes a stage for their rivalry. Eric, in his youthful arrogance, scorns the wasteful grandeur, his cynicism sharpened by his view of his brother's profligate ways. Amidst his disdain, Eric plans for more practical pursuits. Despite Jerome's spontaneous festive spirit, Eric remains unimpressed, perceiving his brother's actions as mere indulgence, and lacking the strategic foresight necessary for true leadership. Yet, Jerome is unfazed, embracing his role with a blend of earnestness and jest. He offers a celebratory song to EI, crafting a moment that exudes both genuine affection and brotherly rivalry. This interplay between jest and sincerity encapsulates the complex dynamic woven through their interactions. Amidst this backdrop, Eric's aspirations for political ascendancy grow clearer. His thoughts pivot to the strategic value of alliances and regional balances of power, his mind a whirl of plots and intentions. As his plans take shape, he remains cautiously visionary, aware of the obstacles that yet lie in wait. As the ceremonial evening draws to a close, Eric's sharp mind returns to Jeremy's earlier warning, his cryptic insights offering a glimpse into the machinations at play. For the people, Jeremy intones, hinting at the weight of leadership and the nuanced path Eric must tread. Reflecting on their exchanges, Eric considers the broader ramifications of his brother's actions. With the stakes higher than ever, he stands at the brink of decisions that will shape not only his destiny but also the future of End. In the shifting tableau of power and ambition, the brothers' rivalries and alliances become the crucible testing their mettle, each maneuver echoing through the tapestry of the realm's fate. As the dance of swords and words continues, the strands of destiny twist tighter, weaving the fates of nobles and kingdoms alike. Jeremy looks out over the shifting political landscape, mindful of his kingdom's potential future. The threat of rebellion looms, yet he considers that appointing Eric might bring balance. Eric, although less popular than his late brother, Diane, may be the more rational choice. Jeremy's eyes survey the nobles, analyzing each decision carefully as he voices his concerns about the kingdom's future under Eric. Hazel adds context, explaining the military might associated with Prince Zenon Owl. Zenon has a formidable reputation but is also known for a volatile temperament. This reputation makes him unpredictable. As they discuss further, the conversation turns towards the ongoing dragon research and its implications. These dragons aren't the ancient untamed beasts they once were but are now guided through sorcery, a point of intrigue and potential power. This discovery could change the balance of power and aid Jeremy, who sees the need to leverage such knowledge. Jeremy's ambitions have always drawn a complex map through politics and dragon lore, both potentially vital assets. Intrigue stirs as they evaluate the ties between Mephius and End, understanding how their allies' military maneuvers could affect their plans. The unification of armies and development of dragon research could either stabilize or disrupt the balance across nations. The delicate whispers of control thread through Jeremy's careful planning, marking every decision like ink on parchment. Meanwhile, tensions arise as Emperor Ghoul Mephius reluctantly acknowledges the impending political tension between Solan and End. The reinforcements are a silent signal of growing unrest. Nue, insightful yet cunning, prepares to respond to these developments, assessing their implications on his plans. His keen mind pivots through layers of strategy, ever the strategist. He sends a cavalry unit to ensure his plans stay on course, using appearances to hide more significant movements beneath the surface. Preparation signals flare as multiple factions ready themselves, forcing Zenon to reconsider plans. He is accustomed to the military life, thriving in the chaos of strategy. However, even with this comfort, he cannot help but acknowledge the underlying tensions as preparations at Zyme fortify under his watchful gaze. Zenon's expertise in warfare is critical, but his opposition to deploying Reese puts him at odds even within his own ranks, pushing him further into internal conflict. The scene shifts to Orba, a figure caught in the midst of secrecy and allegiance. Although strong and capable, he finds himself embroiled in a swarm of political intrigue and personal vendettas. Memories of past promises echo in his mind, driving him ever onward. He moves strategically, ensuring the pieces on the board align with the ongoing plan. Orba considers his past actions, the choices he's made that have brought him to this moment. His thoughts weigh heavily with the potential consequences of every move. Vicina reflects on her own role in these turbulent times, gazing beyond her personal struggles to the broader implications of leadership and identity. She understands the masks worn by those in power. Each interaction is layered with intent and purpose, often hidden behind a facade of civility and calculated smiles. This awareness keeps her grounded and alert, a necessary vigilance as the political seas roil around her. Together, these characters navigate the intricate interplay of politics, power, and ancient law, each decision a ripple in the larger story of kingdoms on the brink of change. Their desires and destinies intertwine, laid against the troubled tapestry of war and legacy, as they forge forward into an uncertain future. Orba gallops across the hills, steadfast in his mission, with Bane trailing just behind him. As the wind rushes against them, Bane finally finds his opportunity to question Orba. "Prince, where are we going?" he asks. The rugged terrain stretches ahead, carrying Orba away from where he had once been called the Prince of Mephius. His heart, however, remains tied to something even as he tries to distance himself from it all. Orba wonders if someone had slipped away unnoticed from the banquet, and the thought keeps him alert as they draw closer to a narrow pass. Up ahead, Orba sees a shadow lurking. As they edge closer, the shadow materializes into a familiar figure, reinvigorating Orba with a sense of purpose and urgency. He recognizes the need to be wary, recognizing that although he had strategically maneuvered through the obstacles thus far, a more perilous encounter could be awaiting him. As Orba, accompanied by Bane, arrives at a fence blocking their path, they are soon face to face with Bane's own men surrounding them. A well-built man steps forward, throwing a sword at Orba's feet. His blatant defiance stirs something within Orba, eliciting a recognition of shared pasts and present survival. Drawing near unity with his foes, Orba challenges them directly, asking whether they would still dare oppose him, the one they once risked everything for, even now that he's presumed dead. A tense silence settles upon the group until one man accuses Orba of being a slave double for the real prince. As this misunderstanding festers, Orba speaks up, fiercely defending his reasons and attempts to convey truth, however small, to disarm their growing aggression. He implores them that if you don't, then we'll be released from our burdens the worst way possible. Orba continues through his harrowing journey, reflecting upon his status and mission within the Empire. The pressures build while Apta buzzes in uproar following Gil Mephius's sudden disappearance. This turmoil, however, reveals a darker undertone that many had sought to shadow, including Shikyu, who is busy attending to his duties within the fortress. Shikyu tries his best to distract himself from troubling thoughts, attempting to occupy his mind in matters of state. Yet, the effort feels futile as, deep inside, he's acutely aware of the growing unease gripping the land. Meanwhile, Orba finds himself trapped in a storeroom, restrained and yet hopeful. It's an unfamiliar place yet faintly resonant in a way that stirs old memories. He recalls past struggles, the faces of those he has fought alongside, and how fate often mingles fatefully with fear. Doug appears, one of those entwined in Orba's web of past loyalties and conflicts. Their rapport, filled with hesitant camaraderie, tips over into plans discernibly wrought from both malice and desperation. Doug, under the guise of contempt, plots a counterattack that would draw the Imperial Prince out into the open. Further, Doug harbors a secret bitterness, a contrast to Orba's revealed identity. His words seep with venomous intent as he concocts a strategy for reclaiming what he perceives as lost justice. Our villages were burnt by them, Doug contends, with his eyes unwavering upon Orba's reaction. Doug's plan unveils a devious approach, the bid to lure Orba to act against Mephius. A feigned attack upon the innocent, orchestrated to incite anger against an unjust ruling. Orba, embroiled in the layers of deception, must navigate his own path amidst these tensions. In another place, Velina is growing increasingly anxious. Her concerns about Gil's fate and whereabouts upset her. Her thoughts churn as she paces about the gardens of Apta, recollecting the strange circumstances surrounding the prince's disappearance. As these threads entwine, each character grapples with desires rooted deeply in challenges, loyalty, and vengeance. Schemes laboriously unfold, hinged upon destinies unwittingly tied together, reflecting upon past sacrifices and what the future might yet demand. Velina stands quietly, arms crossed, observing the child in front of her. She's never heard anyone speak quite like this before. Ran seems insightful beyond his years, reminding Velina of Zodia's, the dragon god's child. Zodia's had displayed similar sharpness, which had greatly impressed the temple. Velina realizes Zodia's had his perspective molded by stories of the mighty dragon gods and their achievements. Ran's innate wisdom reflects a different kind of knowledge, forged by hardship and survival. Meanwhile, Bylan, a trusted figure, expresses skepticism. It's time to move, he insists, eager to rush after someone important, despite Velina's assurance that haste could invite failure. Her final words to him, "Trust your heart," linger in the air. Elsewhere, Prince Inelli's whereabouts remain unknown, sparking concern among those around him. While some, like Bylan, feel compelled to search, others decide otherwise. Ubri, wandering outside a garden fence, seems less inclined to join. Memories of the prince's merry jaunt still amuse him. However, a samba wave quiets his thoughts. Bane, another key figure, senses the tension and insists on remaining vigilant. He understands the prince may have faced bandit capture during playful excursions turned grave. Bane's suspicions prove correct. Unbeknownst to many, he has been separated from the prince and imprisoned underground. Determined, Bane declares, "We need to escape. Now is the time." His inner resolve propels him into action. As darkness shrouds their escape, Ubri steps forward with his army of the Black Armored Division. Hundreds march, breathing life into the night. Ubri believes their silent advance will unveil the elusive captors and reveal critical details about the prince's fate. Their careful march turns dramatic, lights shimmer from above, and surprise flares when the prince's location is discovered. There, tied amidst shadows, lies the wounded yet spirited figure. Ubri alerts Velina of the sighting, urging them forward. Stepping into the cave, Velina and Ubri immediately encounter a tied figure, none other than Prince Gil. Relief mixed with dread overcomes Velina as she acknowledges the tense, dangerous predicament. "We found the prince," echoes loudly, threading urgency into the atmosphere. Rescue efforts are stymied when an opposing force appears, scattering the would-be saviors. The prince, unsure of whose intentions are true, finds solace only when Bane reassures him. Action fills the air, however, amidst chaos and fear, Ubri senses deceit around him. His instincts reveal a deeper ploy at hand, realizing the prince's capture wasn't random. Still, he attempts to extract them all with strategic deft. Outside, shadows form as tension mounts between Velina and the enemy forces. As she urges caution, underhanded tricks unfold with the enemy attempting to sever their bond painfully. Yet, defying all odds, Velina manages to withstand them, providing Bane leeway to assist the prince in full. As this unfolds, Velina confronts obstacles that seek to separate and best her from completing the rescue. She eventually fortifies her resolve, whispering, "Trust the heart," reminding herself of the power wielded by those who believe wholeheartedly in their resolve. Bane, alongside his determined crew, maneuvers tactically, exploiting every crevice and cliff to mask their escape. Gradual but painful progress is made despite enemy pursuit. The landscape itself feels treacherous, magnifying the difficulty of their task. Back at the lair, the trained minds probe for weaknesses in the captor's pattern, relying on every scrap of intuition. With cunning precision, they exploit tactical advantage, successfully reclaiming a small means of control. Bane, echoing scholarly wisdom, captures hope by leading them to explore pathways never imagined before. Meanwhile, Uberi faces his truth while maneuvering boldly in enemy territory. An altercation ensues as combat ensnares him, testing his mental and physical limits. His trained mettle shines, steering him towards unavoidable confrontation as more revelations surface. Through the haze of conflict, Uberi displays commendable strength, ably tackling those who threaten his prince. Though apprehensive, he stands resolute, inner fears once suppressed sparking into fervent determination. His cries and shouts propel Bane and their circle forward with renewed vigor. Vilina stays poised, finding solace and grounding even as forces incite overwhelming chaos. In the escalation of events, through coordinated struggle and partner collaboration, hope reignites toe-to-toe with fear. Valiant stopping of foes driven by loyalty powerfully resounds through the swirling battlefield. By challenging and subverting enemy forces, she crafts moments of triumphant communion, her mind replaying the words whispered before the dawn of battle. Trust the heart, she recalls with steady determination, placing fidelity in its inspiration. Although the flames of demise threaten imminent ruin, embracing the bravery of knowledge and spirit propels them forward. Unyielding faith shines through their calculated steps, guiding them towards destiny and, perhaps, eventual victory. As victory inches closer, the blend of tactics, courage, and unity harmonizes, overshadowing the destructiveness surrounding them. At the beautiful core of their mission lies the unquantifiable lifeline shared, driven by pure resolve interlinking their lives and hopes permanently. Each character, defined by trials, emerges with heightened significance, ready to contribute decisively to this gallant ordeal. Set on preserving a beacon of hope, they rally to face upcoming challenges, creating an engulfing web transcending mere survival. Tension coalesces with ambition, molding their choices into strategies and destined paths. Even amidst whispers of near ruin dangling over them, their undeterred sacrifice illuminates the darkened night with bold, unwavering intent. Navigating challenges rapidly expands into grasping unified purposes within, ingeniously orchestrating escape, survival, and eventual peace. Control unlikely to bear fruit is deftly harnessed to empower them through the perilous storm underway. At last, united endeavor narrowly heralds the dawn, a beacon heralding adventure and promise untold, brimming with altruistic mastery. Blueprinted lessons left on hearts emerge starkly, compelling them to overcome perils deftly. Their collective tale, woven through an intricate tapestry, will forever shine brightly, proclaiming the unyielding triumph of ambition and valor amidst consuming flames of demise. Orba stands, reflecting on the surreal turn his life has taken. Once a slave, thrust into a world he never expected, Orba dreams of what seemed impossible, becoming a gladiator, winning the hearts of many, and setting the stage for revenge against those who wronged him. He muses, I thought the same when the village was burned down. And in that dream, I thought I would be proud if it was just a dream. The echoes of a life once lived swirl around him, the destruction of his home never truly left. Every night he lies down, it's as if he is right back in the middle of it all, feeling the blaze, hearing the cries. Yet, Orba is grounded by the loyalty surrounding him, fueled by a desire to live for something greater than the nightmares that haunt him. He questions, now that I can feel it for real. Vilina, close by, holds on to her composure despite all that is unraveling. To those who see her, she seems strong, but when night falls, even her engagements in the typical banter with Orba lose some of their familiar warmth. Shikyu, meanwhile, ensures all remains calm. With reports filtering in from the direction of a nearby village and Vilina witnessing another attack, Shikyu delivers grim news. Flames could still be seen in the distance, and despite their vigilance, Garbira remains at risk. Vilina questions the potential of upcoming battles, wondering if there will truly be a dawn of peace. Inside the fortress, conversations carry a mixed sense of urgency and inevitability. Orba rallies the troops, planning to depart as soon as possible. The soldiers, all knowing the stakes, prepare for battle with grim determination. As the moment arrives, Orba steps forward, ready to advance towards Byron. Conversations between the commanders reveal deep-seated tensions. Each side weighs the cost of action versus the torment of inaction. Orba muses about the nature of war. Even amidst battle, some semblance of humanity clings to the surface. He faces the harsh stare of rogue Cyan. During another discussion, Velina encounters mocking, belittling her rank and intentions, yet her spirit remains unyielded. She whispers her defiance, vowing to make those who underestimate her pay. Calm resolve lies beneath her agitation, as she braces for the political game that unfolds. Amidst battle strategies and bold ambitions, Orba finds himself centered by a simple, undeniable truth: the past will never leave him. His vision narrows to the immediate goal as he sets in motion plans to outmaneuver the forces at play. Father-son dynamics add a rich texture to the ongoing strategy sessions. Erika Mondoria, a strategic mind in his own right, navigates war fronts with his father's shadow looming large. In his heart burns a fierce ambition to emerge beyond just being the son of a leader who channels Gabara's might. The looming threat is ever present, with factions within the empire wrestling for dominance. Meanwhile, the movement of troops under figures such as General Dovido signals the tide of strategy influencing the battlefield. Yet internally, the friction of command highlights fault lines within, as nobility weighs against actual skill. Amidst the swirling politics and battle lines being drawn, Orba senses the tide shifting. His group quietly leaves under cover of night, evoking a sense of quiet determination. The path ahead seems daunting, yet hope flickers with every step. The soldiers he leads fan out into the unknown, shadows in the engulfing night, bound by a shared destiny. Simultaneously, the tension in the palace echoes the battlefield, with Edges and Zyme adopting different strategies against the central powers. As they navigate a fragile peace held together by political threads, each maneuver hints at potential disaster or victory. Rogue Cyan struggles with his conscience, confronting truths amidst war while Orba and Shikyu prepare for the times ahead. An unspoken understanding builds between them. Orba's path is not only vengeance but of forging new alliances amidst the chaos of war. The world around them unwraps layers of human drama, honor, betrayal, hope, and despair. All woven into the intricate dance of choosing between what was and what could be. As daylight dimly approaches, the combatants prepare, knowing the coming days will either forge legends or lay to waste their ambitions. The tale unfurls, where the divide between past and future is drawn by a sword's edge, with Orba's unwavering gaze set on the horizon, determined to carve out his destiny. Under a sky burdened with low-hanging dark clouds, Zyme Fortress stands resilient against the advancing forces. As an army led by Zenon charges forward, anticipation and tension ripple through the ranks. A messenger rides swiftly to deliver urgent news to Nue, the strategic mind behind their defense. Hearing of Zenon's approach fills Nue with a mix of dread and strategic urgency. The battle unfolds with a ferocity that shakes the very ground. Belmore, a leading figure in the opposing army, strategically places his troops, intending to overwhelm Zyme with sheer force. Yet, as the dust settles and the skirmishes begin, Belmore's line falters, taken by surprise at the coordinated defense mounted by Nue and his forces. The enemy shift suggests they might not just target Zyme, they could be orchestrating a larger, more complex maneuver against Mephius. In these moments, a calculated game of wits plays out. Zenon and his Knights of the Order of the Tiger, prideful and invigorated, storm into the fray. However, Nue, anticipating their approach, had already aligned his defenses for such an eventuality. Zenon's bold charge seems to have fallen into Nue's trap, yet the battlefield's chaotic nature leaves the outcome uncertain. As tensions escalate, Nue faces internal conflict. The dynamics between Zenon and Nue reveal an undercurrent of rivalry and respect. Nue ponders the thin line between genius and madness in battle, a line he finds himself walking with careful precision. In a pivotal moment, Zenon's forces confront another unexpected twist. Reinforcements arrive seemingly out of nowhere, bolstering Zyme's defense with vigor. Among those pushing against Zenon is none other than Gil Mephius. Eliciting surprise and skepticism, Gil's presence adds another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama, stirring the emotions of allies and enemies alike. Amidst the clashing swords and ringing cries, Orba finds himself in a dance of life and death. Against the fierce backdrop, Orba manages to elude a deadly strike. His deft maneuvers on his horse evoke respect and fear, showcasing his resilience and skill. As the battle rages on, Belmore contemplates his choices, his conviction wavering under the relentless assault. His attempts to rally his scattered forces against Mephius are thwarted. Desperation begins to seep into the ranks as the fight descends into frenzied chaos. In a dramatic turn, Mephius orders his troops to strike with precision. He aims not only at victory but at capturing a victory unmarred by unnecessary bloodshed. Gil's strategic insight shines through the tumult as he orchestrates his forces with calculated finesse. Yet even as victory looms, the battle's emotional gravity tugs at the hearts of those involved. Eric, having witnessed the tide turn in their favor, faces his conflicting feelings. Seeing Belmore's army decimated does not bring him joy, only a somber understanding of the cost of war. In the aftermath, the tension between Eric and other commanders highlights deeper political currents. Allegiances and betrayals hover in the thick air, unspoken yet palpable. Eric is acutely aware of the balance of power shifting under his feet, as Gil's surprising move had unexpected ramifications. As the story unfolds, personal vendettas and political machinations intertwine. The moment is rife with tension as Eric reflects on the uneasy alliance with Garbira. The complex web of relationships and motives underscores every decision made on the battlefield and beyond. The unfolding narrative paints a vivid picture of warfare's toll. It's not merely a story of warriors clashing, it is a portrait of strategy, loyalty, and the relentless march of ambition. With every clash of steel, secrets buried in the shadows threaten to emerge, promising future battles on fields where alliances can change in the blink of an eye. In the battle's wake, the rain pours down, washing over the weary soldiers. It's a brief respite, a moment where the living can mourn the fallen. Yet even as the rain soaks the earth, Nue stands with determination. His eyes are set on the horizon, contemplating the uncertain future, aware that each decision he makes could tip the scales of power in unforeseen ways. As Gil departs from the battlefield, his thoughts drift towards the implications of his actions. The question of trust and loyalty looms large, both in terms of his allies' faith in him and the expectations placed upon him. With each step, the echoes of battle linger, a reminder of the choices that will shape the days to come in this intricate dance of war and diplomacy. And thus, the story continues, a rich tapestry of courage, strategy, and the indomitable human spirit poised in the face of adversity. As the battle's aftermath settles, Eric surveys the scene, reflecting on the cost of their engagement. Despite their victory, the price in lives weighs heavily. If there is even one death more among the people than among us, it will mean we were defeated, he says grimly. In the smoke and fading echoes of combat, the smell of burning still clings to the air. Although the enemy lies defeated, the moral ambiguity of warfare lingers. The loss resonates through the survivors, impacting them all. Prince Gil showcases an air of determination, urging his troops toward victory and away from despair. Belmore, the dragon he just defeated, lays silent on the battlefield, a stark reminder of the fierce struggle. In a poignant moment, Gil assures his men that their sacrifices will not be in vain. Vinia finds herself lost in thought, her gaze drawn to the stormy horizon. A sense of finality hovers as she observes the rain pouring over Nuzans. Gil reassures her, remarking on how the tempest seems to cleanse the air of past animosities, offering a chance for renewal. The warmth between Gil and Vinia grows palpable. Their camaraderie is evident as they exchange a shared look of understanding, each taking comfort in the other's presence. I hope you will never lose that honesty. No matter what happens from now on, Gil tells Vinia, grounding their budding friendship in mutual respect. The laughter that follows is light and genuine, igniting Vinia's realization of contentment. In that moment, laughter fills the void left by battles, carving a memory she hopes will last long after the sun sets behind the distant hills. As they stand shoulder to shoulder, a faint chill reminds them of the coming night. In a soft voice, Gil questions her, "Isn't this a bit longer?" To which Vinia responds, reflecting the twilight of both the day and their journey together. With the epilogue, a shift in tone emerges. Under the cloak of night, a figure stirs, plagued by relentless thirst. His surroundings tell a story of foreboding darkness, emphasizing the contrast between previous warmth and the chilling solitude that now envelops him. The familiarity of the environment leads him to recognize Solan's distinct skyline. The Black Sword Tower pierces the night sky, a beacon in the darkness. As realization dawns, despair entwines with hope in his expression. Amidst this, Ubri wrestles with his circumstances, struggling to reconcile past affiliations with current adversities. The proximity to despair is inescapable, yet determination pushes him forward. The symbolic crossing of swords highlights the fraught ambiguity within him, adding layers to his struggle. The narrative transitions, following the relentless search for the prince. Despite perseverance, the answers slip through their fingers, leaving soldiers to question every act. Rumors spark suspicion, and whispers of deception ripple through the ranks. Coline and Gilliam engage in a tense conversation, with Coline maintaining doubt over the prince's survival. The mystery shrouding the prince's fate initiates a cunning dialogue, one of subterfuge and half-truths. Ubri's allegiance feels fragile, caught between lines drawn by loyalty and necessity. As truth weaves among words, the shadows deepen. Schemes plotted in the dark start becoming apparent, pushing alliances to their brink. The specter of the prince looms large, an enigma refusing resolution. The stakes rise as deception intertwines with ambition in this evolving tale of intrigue. Gilliam's voice echoes through the narrative, a skeptical mirror of Ubri's internal conflicts. Their path ahead remains unclear, but the simmering tension promises revelation shrouded in the mists of uncertainty. The ending encapsulates a promise of change, the old transitions to the new as loyalties are tested. The unfolding events are set against a backdrop of impending challenges, offering a gripping conclusion to this chapter of their saga. The last rays of hope sit with Vinya, holding on to memories of laughter against a canvas painted with both warmth and stormy shadows.